Good morning, guys. You might be thinking, Evie, why are you literally using a microphone when you're sat in your room alone? I'm gonna tell you. Often when I film these videos and I know that my flatmates are in, I will talk quieter because I really don't like the thought of people standing outside my room listening to me. I know that's not what my flatmates do, but I really don't like it. So then I end up talking in a muted, shy voice, and I want you guys to be able to hear my wise words. So, welcome to another video. It is Sunday. I am looking quite dishevelled after my first week of uni. I'm being dramatic. I've quite literally had 5 hours of class. That's it. But yeah, I kind of wanted to come and chat because I've not really filmed a video in a while. I've had quite a stressful couple of weeks. Not stressful, but there's just been kind of a lot of external circumstances that have just kind of been weighing on my mind and things like that. I feel like I've just been quite in my head. So I'm trying to kind of take a step back and de-stress. I feel like, did anyone, me and my sister, when we used to have mini breadsticks, we would dip them in cream cheese and make microphones, and this is what it feels like. My knees were a bit sore. I wanted to talk about today the addictiveness of depression and other mental illnesses. Um, it's something that I often talk about with my friends, and I've definitely alluded to in my previous videos. But I wanted to do a proper just chat about it. So something happened in my life yesterday that is not a huge deal, just one of those, annoying situations that life throws at you. But obviously, immediately, my brain goes, of course, this happens to us. I don't get a rest. This is just typical my life. Goes into victim mode and also uses this one thing as the trigger point and uses it as an excuse to spiral and lie in bed and feel sorry for myself. And I'm not belittling the fact that I can, and anyone can who struggles with mental illness, you become more affected by small things because it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. The little things affect you more because there's so much more going on in your brain that then one other thing is oh my god, I can't deal with this. I'm not belittling that in the slightest, and I also know that I have had a really stressful time, so this additional thing that happened yesterday was my poor little brain. Yeah, but I just because it kind of noticed that there is always this one part of me that is kind of yes, now I have a reason to be sad, because obviously it's amazing that the past couple of weeks I haven't been as depressed as I have been in the past. I wouldn't say I'm in the depths of a depressive episode. Your brain really struggles to cope with that, and I've genuinely really found it hard. I think that's one of the reasons why I've almost been struggling mentally. This is so trippy and meta, and it doesn't really make sense. But one of the reasons I've been struggling mentally is because I have nothing to be sad about. Is because for me right now, life is okay, and my brain can't cope with that because no, we're not happy. We're not happy. We're not a happy person. Let's find something. So when this thing happened yesterday, it's literally I'm all good. Everything's good. Don't worry. I just don't want to talk about it. My brain was we've got a reason now. We've got reason. Whereas this was one thing that I was able to almost grasp onto, made me initially sad, and now it's great. Let's roll with this. Let's use this. To people that don't struggle with mental illness, this will make no sense. No sense. Um, because it's like, why would you, like, it is so weird because when I have talked about my depressive episodes, when I have talked about the hardest periods of my life, I don't talk about them with joy. I'm not like, yeah, wish I could go back to wanting to kill myself. No, like they are. Sorry, I don't know if that was like an okay joke to make. They are the worst periods of my life, and they are horrific, and I would not wish them on anyone. Like, even though that, like, when I talk about, I'm not lying, like, they are the worst periods of my life, I would not wish depression, OCD, anxiety, health anxiety on anybody. They're horrific and debilitating. Don't know if that's a word. But so then, yeah, so it doesn't make sense that then my brain is like, yes, we can be sad again, because it's like, why would you want to go back to feeling like that? It's this comfort. It is this, like, I've read a couple quotes recently that really, really outline it for me. And of course, I'm going to put them in. But there's one particular one which I really, really, really like. It's really like, again, it's another hard hitting one, but you know me, love that. Love that. And she writes, depression is a good lover. It's attentive. It's easier to stay in this abusive relationship than try and fix the problems that it's created. And I just think that's so, like, that's what I'm trying to say, is that, like, as I've said, like, it becomes part of your identity. If you do anything for a long period of time, that becomes your comfort zone. That becomes like what you do. It's like me going to the gym every day, like, becomes my comfort zone. It becomes where I'm familiar at. I feel happy there. I feel safe there because I know what I'm doing, because I go all the time. It's the same thing with depression. If you spend a big portion of your life feeling depressed and sad and lying in bed and crying and thinking about all the bad things that have happened to you, all the bad things that exist in the world, that becomes your comfort. That becomes how your brain operates. I often say this to people and I just think they don't understand. But, like, depression is a drug. It is an addictive drug, which again makes no sense. It's the worst thing in the world, but your brain just wants more and more and more of it because it gives you that, like, it's just the comfort of being sad. And, like, that's, like, I've spoke so many times, my brain has been wired to be sad, to be anxious, to look for threats around me, to look for the problems in my life rather than just kind of like exist. And like I've said, like, this is something that I'm really, really working on, to kind of not look for the bad things first. But it's just like, there have been so many times in my healing when I've been kind of post bad depressive episodes, when I've been working on myself, that I genuinely think I miss being sad, which just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's almost like your brain forgets how bad it is. You like feeling sorry for yourself. You almost get used to the comfort of other people feeling sorry for you. Specifically, I remember, this is going way back, but when I was ill, when I was younger, I remember my mum saying to me, she was like, are you scared that if you get better, like, you won't get attention? Because she was like, I know you're getting a lot of attention now because you're ill, but she was like, if you get better, you'll get so much more good attention. And I remember I wasn't consciously thinking in that way. I wasn't thinking that if I got better, I wouldn't get attention anymore. But then when she said that, I was like, maybe you're like, it kind of struck with me. And I was like, am I scared? Because, like, when I was ill, everyone cared about me. Like, everyone was like rallying around me, and like, because I was dying. But there's this kind of part of your brain that's like, it's all about me. And like, I think, yeah, that was when I was like 10 years old. And I think that still stands, that it's almost like, because it becomes your identity, it's like, if I don't have depression, who will want to talk to me? Who will want to, like, be involved with me? Because this is all I know. And like, if I'm not anxious, then like, what do I talk about with people? And like, no one will want to be friends with me. And it's so irrational, but it also is rational because, like, when you think about it, it makes so much sense. I don't know if this is resonating with anyone, but I think it's one of the things that I have genuinely struggled with so much. It's an obsession. And it's always in the first kind of couple weeks post a bad depressive episode that I struggle with the most, because it's like self sabotage in its purest form. Because, and it's probably self manifestation, you know, like a self fulfilling prophecy, because like I right now am like, I'm okay and I'm trying to just live my life, but like my brain is constantly just like, what can we be sad about? What can we be anxious about? And it will grip onto anything. I had another kind of like mini health hypochondria scare, and literally, as soon as it went away, like as soon as, it's a whole other story, but like as soon as I decided that I was fine, my brain was like, damn, like we are okay. Like, what do we do now? And it's just, it's so weird because it's like, surely you should be so happy that like you're feeling better and like nothing is like worrying you. But it's a comfort. It becomes your state of mind. It becomes who, like, yeah, it's your identity. Like I've spoke about in so many videos. When I first started healing from one of my like first ever depressive episodes, I read this quote, something about like, you know, it's okay to like grieve your past self, like when you're healing and things. And I remember thinking, what? Like, why are they talking about grief? Like, I don't get this. And then when I kind of started to feel better, I was suddenly like, oh, like that's like, you grieve your past self, even though that version of yourself was so unhealthy and so sad and so like negative and really not happy and not okay. You still, that person still got you through a lot of tough times and tough years, and you like almost have, you need time to grieve that past version of you. I love that I am so much more positive now, that I am so much more relaxed about things. Like, honestly, I would be unrecognizable to you guys like 3 years ago. Like, I was not a good person, but I still miss her because she was me. Like, that was me for a long time. And it's a comfort, and it's so easy when things, yeah, when little things go wrong, to slip back into that like maybe it would just be easier to be like so negative about everything, and like, because it's so hard fighting that part of you. I think it's something again that no one really talks about, that it's like indulging in sadness, because obviously I've really gone on a bit of a tangent here, but just stick with me. When you have depression, the lines between normal life sadness and depression are very blurred. Like, because obviously I don't really know what it's like to feel sad, to feel a normal sad day, because I've never had that, because like a lot of my life has been like plagued, don't know if that's the right word, but like plagued with depression. I don't know what it's like to just have a bad day. Well, I do, but like my bad days are kind of like, oh god, it's starting again. I'm going into a depressive episode. They're much more like intense than maybe just like a normal sad day. Um and I think like that is then what I struggle with, because if I have like, I almost forget that bad days are a part of life. Like, that is just life. Life is up and downs. It's really, it takes a lot for me to not indulge in that, because if I genuinely have a bad day, I will be like, okay, like, let's do this. Like, the depression's coming back, and there's always that just slither of me, tiny little bit. It's like, yeah, great. We know how to do this. It's like, right, wagons roll. Let's do this. Like, we know how to operate. Because a lot of the time, if I wake up feeling a bit rubbish, I will be like, right, here we go. Depression's back. Whereas my therapist taught me to say to myself, okay, I might have a bad morning. I might have a bad hour. But that doesn't mean the whole day is a write off. It doesn't mean the whole week is a write off. And I always remember that when she tells me that, there's still a part of me that's like, but can I not just write it off? Because it's like you want to be sad. I don't even know. Maybe I have to do some more maybe I have to do some more self-exploring because I don't really understand it fully either. But I do just know that it becomes a comfort, it becomes a way of life. And like I've spoke about, that way of life right now is so much easier than a normal life. It's almost like when your brain has been wired to like pick apart this really, really complex puzzle. So then when it's kind of given a little simpler, a more simpler one, it's like, I'm better than this. Like this is too, I can see everything. Because it's the unknown, and I don't know, I feel like I'm going through it over here, guys. And like experiencing normal, like stress about like uni and things like that is crazy as well, because it's just like everything in my mind has been trained to be catastrophized, and like it's like a process of like bringing your emotions back to this kind of like average band. But yeah, kind of like just leveling out my emotions. I feel like I said a whole lot without saying much at all. But yeah, I am going to insert some of the quotes that I've been talking about, because that one where she just says depression is a good lover. Like, guys, because when you're depressed, your circle becomes so small and like so like it does become like the only person in your life, which is so weird because it's not a person. But like it's you in the depression against the world. It's really hard to let go of that. I used the metaphor that depression is a drug all the time, because it's just like the more you experience it, the more you need it, because it becomes a way of life. And I just think that's one of the huge things about mental illness that I never knew about, that was never talked about, still isn't really spoken about, because it's, again, spoke like I spoke about in my life after depression video. Like, there's this such fixation on getting through the hard times, and you know, yay, like once you feel better and have more energy. But there's this whole post-depressive era, which is like trying to not let this person back in the door. And it's almost as hard as actually navigating through the depression as navigating through life without the depression, because it's almost like the thing you turn to. I just don't know if this makes any sense. Because it's like you've got a little friend, and these demons, even though they are demons, they're always there with me. They're chilling. They're chilling, they're killing. So when they're not as prominent, I feel lost and I don't know what to do. And they're waiting, like my anxiety demons, my depression demons, they're waiting for something to be like, yes, like we weren't filled. We knew something like this would happen. I've been talking for 26 minutes. I don't even really know what I've talked about, but I don't know. I just think it's really important for people to know that like it's not necessary. There's a big thing about being scared to recover and being scared to get better, because that's all you've ever known. And it involves so much work recovering. And there's this whole other scary side to life that like you don't know about, and you don't know how to operate in there. And I just think it's really like, if you have friends or family or any loved ones who experience mental illness, it's really important to know that like mental illness can be a really good friend. And it's not this black and white, like it's really bad and I want to heal from this. Like, there's so much more to it than that. And I think that's just really important to know when you're like trying to support someone in their healing, or just trying to support someone who's going through a bad time. Like, because there's, in a lot of aspects, when I've had bad episodes with hypochondria, OCD, depression, I've not wanted to get better because it's just easier. It's just, I know how this operates. I know how this works. Like, let me be, let me do this. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe this will help people understand a bit more about the intricacies of mental illness. But I'm gonna go now because I have been talking for 30 minutes. I feel like I'm doing a podcast, but I'm not doing a podcast. Should I do a podcast? Okay, one step at a time, literally one step at a time. I hope you enjoyed this absolute ramble. Don't know if it made any sense. And I hope y'all have a good week. I don't know when I'll post this actually, so I don't know. I hope you're just doing okay. Hang in there, and you guys can chat to me whenever you want. Just drop me a little message. Oh, that sounded so influencery. Okay, I'm gonna go. But yeah, hang in there, everybody. Keep being kind to yourself. It's all about the little things that bring you joy.